So I don't do a lot of personal videos, really. But I'm gonna try to just do a little thinking out loud about my own life, the course of events in my life at this particular time. And, the way I perceive my position is basically beginning my life as a philosopher, as a professional philosopher. And, I'm still paying in order to seek an education in philosophy. I'm not a tenured professor or anything. Part of me is aspiring to do that, but part of me also is hoping that something more, radical will spark up, and I'll be drawn into some situation, whatever it is, writing, lecturing, starting some type of company, but as in a conscious movement with other people to secure a way of life, not only for myself, but, for others. Just vaguely, very in a general sense, something other than being a tenured professor. These are both possibilities. But I'm basically trying to define myself right now. In the next couple years, I'm trying to lay a foundation for a further leap into the world of what? Academia, or, not necessarily confined to academia, but just to the human race in general. I'm trying to get out into the world, understand it, and start telling others what I think about it, with the larger collective goal of arriving with those others at some consensus about what the hell is going on. But, before you can even begin to have that discussion with others, you do need to define yourself, and not the definition you come up with on any given night or, in any given sentence is the final definition. But you do need to begin to point in that direction. And I guess if I were to point, I would say I'm trying to understand and put into practice an integral philosophy, an integral spirituality, an integral being. And that means a lot of things, obviously. Integral just means whole, holistic, on the face of it, but how do you apply that to day-to-day existence among others in this reality? As a philosopher, I guess, in the most general terms, you've been struck by the recent developments in human thought about and surrounding evolution, but you're also able to pay respect to, and also understand, and even carry on and participate in the wisdoms of past generations of human beings. Obviously there was a lot of ignorance in the past, just as there's a lot of ignorance today, but we have learned something from 400 years of science. It's certainly up for contention exactly what we have learned, but that our view of reality has necessarily changed is a given. Medieval people, pre-modern people, tribal people, whatever your most romantic notion of humanity's past is, those people didn't have a perfect understanding of reality. They lacked a lot. They thought the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon were a series of, dozens of spheres spinning at different speeds, fixed machines operating. There's a very tight, simplistic notion of heaven, of the eternal, of the laws of nature, as we call them nowadays. And they were wrong about that, obviously. It's actually not a bunch of crystalline spheres. It's actually space-time, other galaxies, other worlds, really other life forms. All of that is a possibility out there. We're not the center of the universe, at least. There are some important senses in which we're not the center of the universe. I mean, from the perspective of the anthropic principle, of course, we can only see as far as our lens allows us to see, which is approximately 13.7 billion light years. So there's obviously a limit from the beginning as to what kind of knowledge we can have about this universe. But we can't say what that is. I mean, we can't derive some mathematical function to predict for us exactly how it's all going to play out. Not in a general sense, or much less a specific, where, we could predict, for instance, using some physics-like equation, what a human society will do in 10 years, or what technologies will develop 100 years from now. If we could predict that with certainty, like we can predict, the ballistics of an object's motion, then we can say that our reductionistic sciences work. But we're not. That's not even in the realm of possibility. Even as far as reductionists are concerned, I mean, they're interested in practical knowledge when it comes down to it, right? And so am I, really. But the thing is, knowing the best way to gather knowledge about reality doesn't tell us necessarily what the best way to live in and as that reality is. I mean, it doesn't help you in regards to the meaning and motivation underlying the actions you engage in. It just tells you, how best to measure and describe them. And these aren't mutually exclusive endeavors. You can use accurate descriptions of reality in order to live appropriately and beneficially and compassionately in that reality. But it isn't necessarily so. Just because you got the facts doesn't necessarily mean you know how to use them, what they apply to. Because, again, integral theory is not only a theory, it's a practice. It concerns both being and becoming. So, incorporating evolution into our view of life really, has modern science really done that? I mean, certainly Newtonian physics, the Newtonian worldview hadn't taken evolution into account, because Darwin added biology to Newton's physics, more than 100 years after Newton was dead. So, but we haven't really felt the meaning of evolution as far as what it means for knowledge, what it means for what a human being is. I mean, then if evolution is true, what is the species human being? Well, it's just another shade of life, just another shade of the universe. And that's a profound statement to make, because it calls you to find yourself, to relate to the cosmos. You are one with the Earth. You are integral with this planet, with the solar system, the galaxy, etc. That's what evolution calls us to realize and to experience about ourselves. And a lot of modern scientific thought, modern, well, not even scientific, because the scientists themselves realize this, but popular thought, secular, humanist, atheists, really, intellectuals, typically would see, Darwin's biology as the final say, that we're all just temporary reverse entropy, that it's futile in the end. It's not leading anywhere. It's not really creative. It's just more of the same physical collisions. But this might not be the final say.